This is a Security Weekly production. Black Hills Information Security, the leaders in penetration testing and active defense. Email consulting@blackhillsinfosec.com to request a quote today. This episode of Hack Naked TV is brought to you by IT Pro TV. With IT Pro TV, you gain access to the most important tools needed to prepare you for IT certification. IT Pro TV has 1,000 hours of up-to-date, high-quality video content. Course topics include CCNP, CompTIA, Advanced Security Practitioner, Ethical Hacking, Cryptography, and more. You can stream their courses live and on demand to your Chromecast, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, PC, or mobile device. They have one low monthly subscription price, and you can cancel at any time. Check out itpro.tv/hacknaked to upgrade your brain with the most popular IT certifications. Use the code HACKNAKED30 for a free 7-day trial and save 30% off the life of your account.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Hack Naked TV for April 14th, 2016. I'm your host, Beau Bullock, and today I'm going to talk about probably the most overhyped vulnerability ever. I'm going to talk about some encryption in both WordPress and WhatsApp, and then we'll cap it off with how you can actually test your network to see what ports are allowed outbound. As always, Hack Naked TV is brought to you by Black Hills Information Security, the leaders in penetration testing and active defense. Contact consulting@blackhillsinfosec.com today. Badlock. This is probably the most overhyped vulnerability ever. Why? Well, some security researchers that found a vulnerability in Samba decided to say, hey, you know what? Before we actually tell the community what's wrong, let's create this website and a logo for this vulnerability. That's not unlike Heartbleed or Shellshock. They both had websites, both had interesting logos. But at least with those, you had the details behind the vulnerability immediately. With Badlock, the researchers posted this site saying, hey, we found this super critical vulnerability, but you know what? We're not going to tell you the details for a good month or so. So finally, April 12th, a couple days ago, they actually released the actual details behind Badlock. Before then, all of the security community was up in arms about what this vulnerability was. Was it a remote code execution vulnerability? Was it going to be the MS 08067 of 2016? Were we going to be able to just pwn all the things? Well, what did Badlock end up being? Well, it ended up being a series of denial of service vulnerabilities and man-in-the-middle attacks against Samba. Not quite the remote code execution vulnerabilities we're looking for as pen testers. But still bad and does need to be patched. Did it need its own website? Did it need to be overhyped the way it did? Definitely not. But definitely still bad vulnerability. So let's talk about what Badlock is a little bit more detail here. Well, it affects both Windows and Linux, which that's kind of an interesting uniqueness to this vulnerability. It could allow, if you were able to situate yourself on a network and you were able to man in the middle a connection to an Active Directory server, you might actually be able to modify elements in Active Directory. So that's kind of an interesting attack. I'm sure we'll see some tools come out that will allow us to do said attack fairly soon. You could also, if you found a file server that was vulnerable to Badlock, you might be able to actually modify permissions on files and folders on that server. So if you're a low-level user in an environment that doesn't have access to something, you might be able to utilize Badlock to escalate your privileges to access things that you might not have been able to previously access. So that's an interesting attack vector there. So the bottom line is it's not the critical remote code execution vulnerability we were all expecting. It's still bad. Patch your systems. WordPress HTTPS. So WordPress, the number one website generating tool today, decided to push SSL to all the WordPress.com sites. Awesome. So basically, WordPress partnered with Let's Encrypt, which if you don't know Let's Encrypt is an organization that provides free SSL certs. So they actually partner with Let's Encrypt to push out SSL certs and SSL to all of the WordPress.com websites. Very cool. I actually saw a number that over 26% of all websites on the internet run WordPress. I'm not sure how accurate that number is, but if it's accurate, I mean, think about that. Over a quarter of all the websites on the internet now are secured with HTTPS. So it's definitely a huge step forward for security, first and foremost. Secondly, this is kind of off topic, but WordPress itself, but not the HTTPS side of it, but let's talk about just WordPress. It has been well known to be plagued with a number of vulnerabilities, other than just the encryption portion of it. The fact that I saw that number, it's like, hey, a quarter of all the sites on the internet run WordPress. That's kind of scary in and of itself, because of all the WordPress vulnerabilities that are already out. So just sorry, interesting side fact there. So the update should happen automatically. You shouldn't have to do anything. If you're a WordPress.com user, you should be able to seamlessly transition over to HTTPS. So moving forward with our encryption theme, WhatsApp decided to push out encryption as well. So WhatsApp, if you're unfamiliar with WhatsApp, it's a mobile application that's used to send messages, files, photos, voice and chat messages. Essentially, it kind of takes the place of what your built-in carrier's SMS functionality does, and allows you to send messages and communicate with other users using the WhatsApp application over the internet, over your internet connection through your phone, as opposed to just using the built-in SMS services, which might build up more charges. So now all WhatsApp users have end-to-end encryption for all their communication, which is awesome. WhatsApp is such a popular application that this means that now over 1 billion users, because WhatsApp has a 1 billion user base, now have encrypted communications across the application, which is really awesome. WhatsApp uses the Signal protocol, which is an open source, forward secure, strong encryption protocol for asynchronous messaging systems. And this, basically means that it's like a seamless transition over to HTTPS, which is awesome. Moving on, AllPorts.Exposed. So this is a site that I built. Why did I build this? AllPorts.Exposed is a site that, as the name would suggest, has every port open. Now, when I say every port, I mean every TCP port 1 through 65,535. Why would I build a server with all these ports open? Is the question. Well, I thought that it'd be a useful tool for testing egress filtering out of a network. There have been a number of other sites that have done this before, so I'm definitely not the first one to have done this. It's such a useful way to go about testing what is allowed out of your network. So if you were to perform a port scan against AllPorts.Exposed, yes, .exposed is a top-level domain, from your internal network, whatever ports you see that are open from your port scan, you can kind of assume would be allowed out of your network, right? So let's say you did a port scan against AllPorts.Exposed, which has every port open from your internal network through your firewall, and you saw, ports 22, 23, 80, 443. You could assume that those ports are allowed open. If you didn't have a firewall in the way, you should see all ports are open. But provided that most organizations are already doing some level of egress filtering, you'll probably see some fairly common ports. Maybe not. You might see that you have everything locked down, which is a good approach too. Maybe you only allow access out of your network through a web proxy. So maybe you force all your users in the environment, all the web browsers, to actually use the web proxy to communicate to the internet, and that's the only thing that's allowed out. But it's a useful way to go about testing for yourself, just to make sure, hey, I've got my environment completely locked down. Any open ports that you find that are allowed out of your network are useful for attackers to use as a C2 channel, to allow malware to spread over different ports, to bypass other functionality. Like, let's say you have a DLP server that's only watching ports 8443 and maybe SMTP. If I can get out on a different port, I might be able to bypass the DLP. So it's just a useful tool to kind of see what ports are allowed out of your network. So one way to go about doing it is just literally perform a port scan with a tool, like a common tool like Nmap, against the server. Or I wrote a blog post, and if you go to this bit.ly link, it's just bit.ly/1rvyjq7. I have a couple PowerShell one-liners that perform port scans as well, and you can just use one of these PowerShell one-liners to go port scan AllPorts.Exposed today, and check to see what ports are allowed out of your network. As a pen tester, you might want to do this to see what ports are allowed outbound for your own C2 channels. Anyways, yep, AllPorts.Exposed. That's it for this edition of Hack Naked TV. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, check out hacknaked.tv. There's the show notes on wiki.securityweekly.com. I'm going to be teaching in Waterloo, Ontario, July 11th through 18th. I'm going to be teaching Sec 504 from SANS. You can email us at theshow@hacknaked.tv, and I'm going to be on Twitter @dafthack. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye.